one of the two business partners has to be the one who is out there talking about the brand in people's faces, growing the brand. And one may not want to, and they may not be good at it. But if you're trying to build a massive brand, one of you two has to be that person. Well, welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso. My experience is in scaling all types of medical businesses, and I'm sharing my journey to having multiple companies and someday enjoying a large exit. I'm not telling you you should do this. I'm just telling you how I did this. I want to help you grow your business, take ownership of your life, and become a better leader at home and at work. So, welcome back, Miss Amanda Way. I love the tigre outfit.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm starting to feel more like a normal human being again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How many weeks is your baby? I'll say
no,
weeks.
we're going by months. Remember?
Is it months?
You
yeah.
got,
well,
you got on me the first time.
I got on you the first time.
That's it. After that, I totally
yeah, it's
changed
months
it.
only. It's like 2.5 months.
She's almost 6 months.
She's almost 6 months?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So getting some sleep again, and
is she sitting up?
Yeah, she sits up.
Yeah.
She sits up. She's almost crawling. Mm-hmm. She gets on her hands and knees and rocks back and forth. And she absolutely loves the pull-up rings that are in her playpen.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, she's like frantic about it. If you make her get down, she like gets mad.
Oh, really?
Because she wants to just stand there. She'll stand there gripping those things for a good 5 minutes and switch hands and go from side to side. Uh-huh. And she can go a couple seconds like standing on her own without like any support. So
that's awesome.
She'll probably be walking before she crawls.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's terrible for her. And I know because we literally, so Bella walked before she crawled, and she was super fucking smart. She just pretended like she couldn't crawl, so staff would go and pick her up and move her everywhere. Oh. She just didn't give a fuck. And so she was super intelligent about it. And she was like, pretend like she didn't know how to crawl. And so Steph would pick her up and like carry her place to place, and then she could walk. And I guess developmentally in the child, it's terrible if they walk before they crawl.
Oh, okay. This is good to know.
They don't have the actual crossover of their brains, the right hemispheres and the left hemisphere, to control opposite parts of the body. So they have difficulty later with learning and proprioception and stuff like that. So we sign up for this chiropractor, right? Like this special learning chiropractor. And we go in there and this guy is funny. We'll have to post some of the videos on this, Stefan. This guy is like goofy as hell. I mean, he is like one of those zany cartoon characters that you could just, if you think of any zany cartoon character that's like a weird uncle, it's exactly what this guy like looks like and is described. His office is all wacky and everything. And he taught us all these exercises essentially with Bella. And it was essentially just trying to throw her around like a rag doll. It was funny as hell. And so, like,
to try to get her to what?
Yeah,
get that crossover?
Just to realize like where she is and her proprioception and everything like that. And then you would like help her like forcibly crawl. But we had her like upside down and like doing exercises with her, like turning her right and left and up and down and right and left and upside down and twisting and turning. And she would laugh. She would love it. But when she went there, it was like a 30-minute screaming fest with him showing her. It was hilarious torture. And God, he was so expensive because it was like this world-renowned proprioception doc or whatever. And she never fucking crawled. And then later on, she like crawled everywhere. And we just realized she was fucking faking it the entire time just so she could be carried everywhere.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I got to start to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, good
to know. So if you pick her up and like move her and stuff like that, and you don't force her to crawl, then she's just gonna take you for a loop.
All right, good insight. Thank you for that.
Way smarter than you think they are.
Yeah, she is. One of the things I would have to say that's kind of cool is she's left-handed. At least that's what I'm noticing now. Okay. She's left-hand dominant. Like which when she grabs things, no matter what I put down, like I just put it down for her to grab it. She grabs it with her left hand. When she was feeding herself, she grabbed the spoon with the left hand, just naturally. So
I think there's a study on that too. Honestly, I swear, here I'm gonna say, are all babies born left-handed? I swear there's something I read about this. No, babies are not born left-handed. Never mind, I'm
Okay.
completely wrong.
So
Don't
whenever
listen
you
to anything
find-
that I say as a physician.
Whenever you find the study, whatever it was,
Yeah.
you
But
share it.
Leo's left-handed too, or at least he seems like it. He throws with his left hand. He eats a lot of times with his left hand and stuff like that as well. The
Yeah.
other two kids are normal. They'll go to heaven, but that one will go to hell. Sorry. I'm sorry your child is going to hell.
They'll be together.
Yeah. They'll hang out with each other. They'll be running the place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you said in the intro that this is not a podcast telling you what you should do, but more sharing about how you did it. And I think that's that's my jam, because there's a lot of teaching out there where people want to give you 5 steps to success. And it's like, who's to say those things are what work? So people listening to what you have to share, the experiences you've had, and then taking away whatever fits for their own journey. It's like sharing how you did it is so much more impactful than telling people exactly what to do, because who knows if it's going to work for them the way it did for you.
Yeah, it never works for anybody. I mean, even the vision that you have or I had of what kind of medical business I wanted to build and where I wanted to build it and how it was going to look and everything, all that changed. It all changes. It continues to change every single time. So I think don't put that plan in there and say that everything has to be this, and because it's never going to look like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's too
not.
rigid. And then, I'm more of like a grounded person. So it's like I get sometimes stuck in like, this is how it's got to look. And then when it doesn't look that way, I'm like, oh, like, wait a minute. I get myself all out of sorts because I'm controlling. That's probably a better, more accurate way to put it. Like I want to control the situation. Where in this case, it's like being able to take what it is has worked for you and then, flow with that a little bit from like a feminine standpoint, like flow with where does this fit? So I thought today would be a great day to talk about what has worked for you and the things that you're doing, and in like at the same time, building your own personal brand. And you've got the podcast, you're sharing consistently on social media, you've got YouTube, Instagram. I've seen all your stuff come up even on LinkedIn. Are there other platforms that you're working with too?
I think that's all of them.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've got all of those. You're also doing speaking, and you're working on a couple books. So you've got a lot of things happening as far as building your personal brand. At the same time, you're sharing all of these insights as to what's worked in building these 8-figure businesses. And so let's talk about your mindset in all of this and what's worked and the things that other people might find helpful along the way.
Yeah, when it comes to the mindset part of everything, that's going to be a really tough part. And a lot of people, I think they don't grow up with a hardened mindset because a lot of times they maybe haven't had to go through a lot of difficulties or anything like that. And not that I had to go through a lot of difficulties, but there was a study done that showed that most of the very high level millionaires, billionaires, people who create something incredible or new in the world or something innovative have some sort of significant hardship or issue or crisis of confidence when they were a kid or early in their career. So a lot of people let those things like break them. Oh, I have trauma because of this, or I have issues because of this, or this thing that happened to me when I was 7 now still haunts me to this day. And instead of using it as fuel, as their power, as like, this is where I'm going to go forward, they use it as a crutch where it's like, oh, I can't do this such and such because I have this trauma or I have this history. So I just can't. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the mindset, is that life a lot of times is really shitty. And I don't think there's any way you can get away from that. It's just how it is. But it's your perception of shittiness, I guess, that changes with everybody. But when it comes to that, it's, getting back up every single time, pushing every single time, knowing that. I was talking with a couple people this weekend when I was speaking at an event, and it's finding out, what is your why and what is your dream. And that's very, very cliche, but figuring out why you're doing things in general is a huge motivator for you? Why are you pushing to do this? What is your reasoning to do this? If you don't have any good reason, then you'll push for a while, but when the hard times come and there's like, well, I'm not really doing this for any good reason whatsoever that makes me want to push forward, then people would just stop. They'll stop at all the hard shit.
What's been the guiding principles for you to push through those times?
I think it was really my parents. I mean, they had given up so much. I've seen them sacrifice so much up until this point, and I really want to be able to provide for them. Even my dad, even though my dad would never take like a cent from me and just completely refuse to take anything, I think I really want to push for them, show them that they could be proud. I think the second part is really trying to push for others, and I think that's people say, oh, I want to do things for others so that it's very altruistic. I think it's more selfish, actually, because I want to push for others so that others see how great I am, and others. I think there's maybe some problems with always having to be overlooked, or always being overlooked, not having to be overlooked, but always being overlooked as a child, or like the underdog as a child. There comes a fuck you mentality with that after a while. So I think it's a little bit of wanting to prove everybody wrong, while at the same point, wanting to do as much good in the world as possible and provide for other people. But it's not 100% altruistic, and people don't admit that, I don't think, a lot of times. It's like, it feeds my ego a lot. It feeds my ego a lot to go on stage and talk to people and have them say, oh, you have an amazing business and amazing staff and yada, 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 for sure. And I think you have to have a little bit of ego when it comes to building any type of business. If you're going to build a big business and have people follow you and stuff, they're not going to follow the uncharismatic leader who's just like, man, do it for everybody in the world. Like, you got to do it for yourself as well. It's
like a false sense of humility anyway. I feel like people know that. Like, you can feel like if it really feels like it's coming from like a humble place, or if there's a little ego in it. And healthy ego, there's nothing wrong with that. So like to somehow make ego a bad thing is, I think, a misstep in mindset anyway, because healthy ego, which is what you're talking about, is actually a wonderful driver for why people do things.
Yeah, 100% is.
As long as it's not hurting somebody else in the process.
Right. As long as you're not a huge asshole. I mean, you may be called an asshole, but in the end, as long as you're not intentionally trying to hurt people or anything like that. The ego is important. I think the ego is important to build anything, to be a leader, to have people follow you. And if you look and study most of, and I'm not going to say all, but if you look and study at a lot of great business owners or great people who have built incredible businesses more recently, if you look at like Steve Jobs, everybody hated the guy, but everybody wept when he died. And people who say I worked for him say he was horrible as a person.
Yeah, I've heard
and
that.
Just as a boss. Elon Musk. Everybody talks shit about Elon Musk nowadays and what he does and everything like that. But they all still stay there. They all still work for him. It was the same thing as Apple. They all still stay. They all still work because they know they were building something greater. They were changing. Essentially, they were changing the world. They were innovating and doing something different. I mean, if you look at and you read stories about George Washington, anybody who complained, he would just execute in front of everybody, like literally just execute them. It seems some days I'm like, I want to be George Washington. Can we go back to being George Washington, please? Because people like to complain a lot.
Nobody will get on your bad side.
Yeah, it's just like, don't complain around him.
Yeah.
Like, he will kill you in front of everybody. But no, all those people who are a lot of times called tyrants or just ridiculous bosses or ridiculous humans in general, it's like, fine, you can go work somewhere else. That's fine. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me in the end. But those people that are going to stay, we're going to take care. We're going to take care of more than anybody. We're going to grow them. They're going to make more money than they ever thought. They're going to grow more professionally and personally than they ever thought they could. We're going to push them to do that. And that's just part of having people and cultivating people and growing people in general. They may not like that. That's fine. Go fucking somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to grow while you're here. If you don't want to grow, then go somewhere else.
Well, it's not aligned with your core values, with the core values, especially within Genesis specifically as an organization. Growth is one of the core values. So if you're not ready for that and you don't really want to, then it's not a good fit anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's really about building something for the like the long game is what I see you playing. And so maybe we can unpack that a little bit, what that has looked like for you. And even in building your personal brand, you know, like this seems a little bit newer in regards to you've done the business side for years and then you got into building the personal brand. So that long game that you're playing, let's unpack that.
Yeah. And with that, you know, I told Stefan, who does my social media, he's got a great company named Motion Media. He does all of my stuff. So if you guys want to use him, go on my website, Motion Media. Stefan is awesome. So he does my videos. He does my podcast. He does my YouTube. He does Genesis's YouTube and videos.
He also edits my videos.
And he edits your videos too? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so... like I hated doing social media. I hate being on social media and stuff like that, but you have to build it in order to help build a brand. But I didn't build it until I had actually something to fucking say. Most people build their social media now and then they buy 50,000 followers. So they got 60 or 70,000 followers. And I see it actually, it's quite funny because some of the speakers for BTL Aesthetics, a company that I speak for, they've got, 50, 100,000 followers and you get 2 comments and 7 likes. Or you've got people in the entrepreneurship space that got 200,000 followers and they, again, 7 comments and 20,000 likes because they have the auto bot liking system.
Yeah.
And
you always see like 20,000 and 6. And it's really just the 6 people. People know now. It's gotta kill the algorithm. I don't know that much about it. I've not
Stefan
bought
says
things.
It does. I listen to that guy.
It's gotta kill it. And
absolutely
then
destroys it.
Also, it's like
Stefan, does it fuck that shit up?
Yeah, it totally destroys it. We had a client who had I'm doing air quotes, 16,000 followers, and we were posting every day. Nothing would get more than 200 views. Like his page was totally shadow banned, so we started a new account, grew it to 8,000 followers organically in like 2 months. Had like videos we posted on the old account that got 200 views get 500,000 because it wasn't shadow banned. So yeah, buying that stuff totally, in my opinion, from what I've seen, destroys your account. So don't do it. It's not worth it.
So you know what's really crazy? This is a total side note, but on this subject, I actually had this guy DM me and he's like, your account should be getting more, more views or whatever.
Those are classic.
I delete the comment and then I go back in and I have more followers. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? He did it.
Like follower bombed you.
Yeah. And I was like, you're going to screw up my stuff. And actually, since he did that, I just like kept deleting his stuff. I'm like, not interested. I don't want to buy followers.
Just block him.
Since he did that, my viewers and engagement has decreased too. And I'm like, I didn't even want that.
Yeah, you can block them and then go in there and like, have those forcibly unfollow all those people. And I think there's some apps that will help forcibly unfollow.
It was crazy.
People and stuff like that. So yeah, it's
like that people could
it's
do
really
that,
ridiculous. But what I told my social media team and what I told, my writers and everything like that is when we were getting into this game, I want to build something that's long term. That's why we post these videos 3 times a day. We do YouTubes, we do the podcast. I mean, 1,000 people are listening a month right now. But if you took a room filled 1,000 people in a room, that's a pretty fucking packed room. I was there at an event this weekend and I spoke to 300 people and the room was like packed. It was a big room, right, Stefan? And it was only 300 people. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, you get 300 likes or even if you have 300 followers, that is a lot of followers. And since working with Stefan, we've gone from 17,000 followers to 22,000 followers.
That's great.
So it's not bad and it's slow, but that's the whole point. Like I told him, I don't need the ego boost. That's the bad ego part is that 70,000 or 100,000 followers, or if you got 5,000 followers. And I think Hormozy posted a video the other day where he's got one girl that he was talking to, an entrepreneur who had 1,000 followers or something like that.
She had like 5,000,
Yeah,
but was
5,000
getting like 10
followers.
likes on each reel.
Yeah, with like 10 likes, and she was making $1 million a year net off of those followers.
Wow.
Like, selling them some sort of health plan or health coaching or things like that, and obviously providing a really good service, or else nobody would buy after the first couple followers blew her up. But you don't need a huge crowd of people. You don't need a ton of followers or anything like that. This weekend I spoke on stage. I got 50 extra followers in my field. So that's, for me, that's a lot. Yeah. It's not like the hundreds and thousands that people get, but doing that is important, and doing it slowly along with building your brand. Because if you build a business and you have something real and tangible and people start to follow you and then they look up what you do, then when you build whatever podcasts or when you build social media or things like that, people will actually listen, because when they research you, they're like, oh, okay, he's not full of shit. Yeah. And that's really what I'm building things for. Through when, Genesis or my other companies or anything like that make it big and people start to talk about it, then they can go back and see all the things that we've posted, all the things we've talked about, all the things that we've been doing throughout the years together, because you've been a part of this for what, 4 years now? More?
Yeah.
And, everything that we've been doing every step of the way, and all the ups and downs and the bullshit. And it was like, oh yeah, we've been posting these forever. They've been there forever. And then that way people can scroll and see that everything that we've done. And I think that's important. People start with those social media. Even in the medical field, I tell people, don't start with the social media. Have a social media, but it's not going to drive you business. Yeah. Nobody's going to come in based off that. And they're like, well, I got a bunch of TikTok views and stuff like that. Okay, that's good for now, but it's not really going to help you bring in the bulk of your people. Bulk of your people are going to be from the referrals, the marketing, the grassroots reaching out, things like that. So I'm not going to sell my soul for some bullshit gimmick strategy that is going to work short term, or just feed my ego, because it doesn't help. Because like you said, if you get fake followers and fake likes, it just crushes the algorithm and nobody else sees you then. It doesn't help anyone but yourself.
Yeah. And we're talking like product market fit right now. Like when you're in a room and you get 50 valuable followers, you've got product market fit right there. And if you're just getting random,
define that. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No. So it's when your product, what you're talking about, what you're selling fits who you're talking to. So let's say you do a social media strategy where you're doing Facebook ads. I could launch that net really wide and just try to reach as many people as possible, but I'm going to get in front of people that don't fit the product I'm selling. So there's no fit there. That's not going to go very far. I'm going to pay a lot of money in ads. I'm not going to get a very great return. And if anything, maybe make a few sales. Where if I narrow that search down and really get granular with who am I talking to and who am I reaching and what are their pain points, and then I'm in front of those people. Those people are going to be clicking and looking to actually purchase what I'm selling. So like what you're saying is when you go into a room where it's your people that you're talking to, your product, what you're selling, your message is a good fit with the audience and the listeners. So those people are valuable people that are in turn going to create you either relationships in the future, revenue, the rah people that really genuinely are excited to see you succeed.
Right.
That's what you want. So you can have 100,000 followers, and if 99,000 of them are not a good fit, is not doing you any good anyway.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. So perfect. I just started studying, some of this too, because I did a recent, webinar with Ezra Firestone's company, Smart Marketer, and for the skincare line. Yeah. And so when I was getting into this, it was like, this makes a lot of sense. So I'm seeing a lot more. The successful companies have a good product market fit. And that's really what building a personal brand is. Yeah. You're building a brand for the people that fit the message that you have to share. And that's who's listening to the podcast too, no matter what those numbers are.
Yeah.
So we've done 50 plus Well, you film your Medical Mondays. What are your Thursday ones called?
I don't know. We don't really have a name. We don't want to. Everybody calls them Thursday Thunders, like across the podcasting land, and that's what everybody calls them. So it's just like, okay, Thursday posts.
Thursdays,
because there's not a good word for
so
it.
you just have
everybody just use it. We have shorts, Thursday shorts.
So we have the podcast portion, which I'm involved in, and then you have these other like bombs that you're dropping because I see them all the time, and I'm always in there like yes. So we've learned a lot, and you filmed way more than I have. But from the first one that we filmed to now, what do you feel like you've learned the most about the podcasting world, and what would you share with like an insight or insights with people that are wanting to start a podcast?
Yeah, I think when it comes to things that I learned to do better now than in the past, I guess I was nervous to do like a podcast in general, or try and speak in general for these things, because you try and act really fake and like what should my voice sound like. I should have really, thinking back, I should have just had a voice like this the whole time, so it was like cool and like Batman-y. But
why do they all talk that way?
I don't know, but it's cool to talk like this all the time. I do it with my wife now. I do it with my kids. Just talk like this.
I bet they love it.
Oh, I'm just awesome. It's cool. I don't know. That was kind of bad. That kind of sounded like the hormone monster from from that show. But no, I think just everybody says be authentic or be natural. I think just answering questions as you normally would, or talking through things as you normally would, and knowing that that's going to completely change, some of the lessons that you taught, or even some of the lessons that I've talked about in earlier episodes. We've been doing this so long now that I definitely would go back and have different opinions on those things, and that's okay moving forward.
Yeah.
I think it's just part of it.
Yeah, I hear that with books too. People that wrote books, they go back and like revise it, but it's like, just write another book.
Yeah.
Because everything evolves and you learn so much along the way. So for somebody who's just starting a podcast and they have something to say, what kind of maybe encouragement could you give them?
I think it's just do it. They do it and then send it out to the people that are going to benefit from it. So if it's in HVAC, only market it to HVAC people. If it's in skincare, only market it to people interested in skincare. If it's business ownership, in those specific fields, market it to business owners in those fields. If it's just general health and wellness, or if it's just general information about a subject, make sure you're looking, or at least sending it out to those people who are in that field whatsoever. And then don't be upset when you have very few viewers at the beginning, or very few people who want to listen to you at the beginning. You just always think about 1,000 people, 1,000 downloads a month. That's 12,000 downloads a year. That's a good amount of people. Even if it's the same people, it's 1,000 people that constantly are listening and haven't turned us off or deleted us. So
yeah,
at least they're learning something. The same thing with the Instagram followers. If you have 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, that's still a lot of people. That's a lot of people. If you were to pack a room or a football stadium, that's still a lot of people who would be standing there listening to you. Mm-hmm. And so don't be upset when there isn't hundreds of millions of views and likes, and it's passed around by everybody, because not everybody's going to like you no matter what. But just keep going. Just keep doing it. Yeah.
And I think Seth Godin has a concept in, I think, the book Tribes, where he talks about the lean inners, lean outers, yep. But it's 1,000 people is what he talks about. So actually, it's kind of good to hear. This is the first I'm actually hearing how many people listen to our podcast.
Yeah, Stephanie just told me this weekend.
Okay.
We hit 1,000 downloads.
New for you.
Yeah.
So 1,000 people, I mean, that's a tipping point.
Yeah.
In marketing. That's great.
Yeah. It sucks compared to most, but whatever. But we're still here. 50 episodes plus.
That's actually, did you guys know, Alex Ramodi did a video. Guess how many episodes you need to publish of a podcast to be in the top 1% of podcasters?
20.
Oh, I want to know.
Because I told you.
What?
It's 21.
I watched it. Everybody's out there. It's 20.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Hey.
So we are better than most, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the top 1%.
So we don't suck.
We're in the top 1%. I mean, we're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an ego boost right there. I'm taking it. It's good. It's good.
Exactly.
Well, and then the thing that you've done really well, and I know Stefan's been a part of this process too, because he's running your social media, is repurposing the content and the transcripts.
Yeah.
So like with that, how can people take what it is they're filming and utilize it in like to more capacity?
Oh, Stefan, you want to answer this one actually? Because he could do much better than I can because he repurposes everything. So we'll record these long videos, or I'll record direct to camera, just talking about some sort of concept or idea based off a podcast or based off the podcast shorts. And then he's the one who repurposes. What tools are you using?
Yeah, so basically, the first thing we do is we record a lot of long form, like medical business content, and we'll repurpose that just using the audio as a podcast. Medical Mondays, which today's Monday that we're recording, so that's when it's getting released today. And then for Reels, what we'll do is when we edit them, we use a app called CapCut just to add the captions to the Reels. We use Premiere Pro for the rest of the stuff. But the nice thing about that app is when you add captions, when you export the video, it'll export like a text file with your video, which is the transcript. It's what the captions say. So we'll actually convert those into carousels on Instagram. So let's say the video was like, this is why you should add GLP-1 medications to your clinic. We'll turn that into a carousel on Instagram. That's like multiple slides, and we'll just convert that transcript into a carousel. Obviously, wordsmith it to make it like readable. And then what Vaughn does, who's Alex's writer, is Vaughn will also take podcasts, Thursday Thunder, well, we internally call them Thursday Thunder, the Thursday short ones, and he'll turn them into like long form Instagram captions for Alex, like, you know, the long captions that he does.
Yeah.
And then vice versa, we'll take like captions and turn them into podcasts or turn them into long podcast scripts. So there's a lot of things you can do,
so with one long form, how many videos do you think you can make, or other posts can you make out of one, like, let's say 60-minute long form video?
Yeah, I mean,
how
usually,
many do you think?
Usually the average would be like 6 to 7, 35 to 45 second clips you can do. And Gary Vee talks about that. He was like, the play right now, in his opinion, is to start a podcast and then post clips from that podcast as your content. And like, he thinks that's the play for people right now. That's what he's saying. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's a huge tip too, is, you know, people not feeling like they have to do so many things, because if you have somebody like Motion Media on your side on the back end, creating and cutting and using the material to its fullest capacity, then you can do a lot more with one hour time frame.
Oh yeah. I mean, from 1 hour of, like with most of our clients, we fly out and we record about like 60 pieces of the content in 3 or 4 hours. We have like a month and a half worth of content.
Amazing.
That's both so, and you can really you can get really efficient. Like, it doesn't have to be inefficient content creation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even with Alex, I mean, Alex probably only spends 4 to 5 hours a month on creating content of his own time, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's great.
And I think that was the mistake that people get into in the beginning, is that they're like, I don't have the time to create content. And I think it's 4 to 5 hours a month now, because I'm creating content not for my personal brand, creating content for Genesis, creating content for the YouTube videos, creating content for the podcasts. And so 4 to 5 hours is, 2 hours with podcasts, an hour of Genesis YouTube videos, an hour of shorts like Reels, and then an hour of my own content, plus like medical videos and stuff, Q&As that I post. It's a lot of content, and I'm still not where we want to be. We're still not where we want to be pumping out content, but you don't have to have that much time. You can literally write a list of 40 reels that you want to talk about, or subjects, 40 real subjects, and you can use Chat GPT, or you can use anything online in terms of trying to find 40 real subjects or questions in your field or in your subject that you're talking about. Record them direct to camera and answer them as if somebody's asking you the question.
Yeah.
So take the first question, record yourself, answer it, pause it. Take the second question, record yourself, answer it, pause it. And that way you've got 30, 40 clips, send it to somebody like Stefan. They do all the content. And it would take for most people to provide 30 clips of content, it would probably take an hour. And don't be worried about messing up or oh, I got to retake this or retake this. Like I don't retake any of my shit anymore. I just do it and they edit it or they just post it and fuck it. It doesn't matter. People are human.
Yeah.
To err is human. So they're not going to be upset. They're actually, I think Dee Graziosi says that the ads that are very natural, the direct to camera ads that are not highly edited or what do they call it? Overproduced. They'll do way better than those overproduction or anything like that in terms of the ads and things. So now I just do it, give it to them, they edit it and post it. I would recommend anybody doing the same. Do it, post it, it's fine, move on.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
And a great tool I also recommend on top of ChatGPT that we started using recently is SEMrush, SEMRUSH. They actually have a tool called, like under their content marketing, the tool called Topic Research. And you put in your niche, hormone therapy, weight loss, and it will literally give you the most frequently asked questions and what their volume online is. And it'll come up with questions like, what are the side effects of semaglutide or whatever? And I know it sounds like a super generic video, but you can niche that down and you can put that phrase into SEMrush and look at the topics in there. So that's a great tool. I just recommend that to people.
Great. That's really great. That's great. So much good stuff. And it, these conversations that we get to have helps, I know certainly myself, flesh out how do I communicate this even more effectively when I'm talking to other people. So like having the conversation makes a big difference in how much more I can communicate with in other areas.
Absolutely.
And it's freaking fun.
Yeah.
We're having fun.
Absolutely.
Are you having a blast? You look like you're having a blast.
I'm faking it the entire time.
I'm having a blast.
It's been horrible. Oh, I'm glad you are. There's one of us. Oh, shit.
It's also for you. I feel like, I'm seeing what you were talking about before as a networking. It's like a networking platform almost, because you're saying people are hearing what you're putting out there and then they're coming to you because they either want to work with you or they want you to speak. And so, that's something that's kind of new in your personal brand, or seems like it's becoming bigger for you, is your speaking. Yeah. So let's talk about that when it comes to building your personal brand.
Yeah, it really is, because when you build your personal brand and then they go to Google you or research you or see what kind of businesses you're involved in, and you actually have legitimate businesses and they've grown to a legitimate size and everything like that, then they're like, okay, this guy has something to fucking say. And it also attracts the right people to you. We've had people join us, at Genesis as a brand from the podcast and from the videos. People join, like I just said, people want to work for us from being on stage, and it's evergreen. Like, it's always going to be there. People are going to be able to go back and watch all the videos, and guys like Andy Frisella and Ed Milet and Alex Hormozy, they've all said it to one degree or another, that they built amazing businesses, then they built and they did the podcasting through it, and then it's really, when I've done all the research and looked at all of these people who do podcasting and anything like that, it's like 5 years. Mm-hmm. They do it for 5 years before that platform blows up. And I think it's congruent with their business obviously exploding at the same time, or they have some big exit or a bigger following or things like that. It's right around that 5 years, half a decade in business. So we're at half a decade in business with Genesis, but we're only been doing this for a year or two. And again, I've told my team, it's the long game. We'll probably be doing this for 5 years before anybody even, sees what we're doing or wants to look at it. But then those guys have said, we had videos that had 1,000 views, and then people will go back to the beginning and watch everything over again. And all that shit's still relevant. I will still listen to episode 1 through 300 of the MFCEO project that changed to a different podcast. And it started in 2015, but the concepts are still exactly the same. And it's the same with, the podcast and all the content I'm putting out now. And I think it's also cool because there's going to be something so different in 50 years when I'm older, or maybe I'm fucking dead. But my kids will be 50 years older. So they'll be able to watch these videos of when I was their age or younger than them and see how things work. And that was one of the things, actually, my business partner Brent and I were talking about like 2 weeks ago, where it would be really cool, and I've started to do it, to not only record messages to your family, but also record like these family meetings and these messages in these minutes, so that they can see it and they can learn. And they, the whole purpose of life, in my opinion, is to try and impart as much knowledge as you possibly can on to the next generation. So along with that comes with those really famous families that everybody knows, like the Rothschilds and stuff like that. There are stories of every single one of their family members having to watch like their quarterly minutes, their quarterly meetings. And from when they're kids, they have to watch the meetings, the family meetings that they have and the investment meetings that they have, and they watch it so that they start to get exposed to that, the language, the learning how to keep your money, etc. And Brent and I thought the same thing. When we are going to get to that point where we have a significant amount of money, making sure that we're recording things along the way to show what we did before that. And then afterwards, it's like, okay, this is what we are doing for family planning. This is what we're doing for our resources, for our income, for our money, because it might change a little bit in terms of maybe different tax havens or different things you could put your money in. But when you really break it down, it doesn't a lot. You could put your money in stocks. You could put your money in real estate. You could put your money in more businesses. You could put your money in different tax advantaged accounts or whatever. So, and those have been around for a very long period of time. The banking system hasn't changed very much. The commercial real estate in general, it's not that it's changed, quote unquote, in that there's different ways to buy a house and it's more expensive and stuff. But you buy an asset. The concept, just like the concepts in business, the concepts are still the same. So them learning that younger than 38, when I am now, maybe learning it in their teens and early 20s and already being exposed to that very, very early. So they're already speaking that language is, I think, very, very important, so they can have that when we're gone. I thought that was really, I think that's really cool, because I wish I had that with my dad or my grandparents. It'd be really cool to see, their stories or what they went through and stuff. And maybe the kids will be fucking bored as shit, but as they get older, it'd be, and they start to appreciate those stories like I do, it would be really nice to listen to those things. For example, having my dad on the podcast, a lot of those stories I didn't know. A lot of those things I guess you don't ask, and I don't think you don't ask because you don't want to know, but you don't ask because you don't ask. I think it's a different time that they grew up in, where it's just like you just don't talk about shit in general. You don't talk about money, you don't talk about religion or politics, the same shit that everybody says or gets from their parents. And so there's a lot of things that just become unsaid, and you don't know any of those stories or anything, and you don't ask until you're way older. But I guess if the kids are exposed to it and what their grandpa went through when they're little kids, they'll start to understand and appreciate it more.
Yeah, and it's almost like trends. I see it like trends, like fashion trends, how they come back around, like bell bottoms come back around, there's certain things that have come back around over like a period of 20 or 30.
Yeah, I've been wearing
we'll ask Stefan about that.
Yeah, I've been wearing them since 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ladies G-strings.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Good to know. Now, Stephanie, you can have a different visual.
Yeah.
But like fashion trends, I think business trends, what happens is like everybody kind of gets on the same train and starts talking about the same new thing going on in business or what works. But to go back to the beginning, you're catching some of those golden nuggets that maybe aren't being talked about in today's market, but really work in business. And then it's like, so when you go back to the beginning of a podcast, you get to hear some of the things that maybe were happening 10 years ago that people aren't necessarily talking about, but really are foundational for a lot of the reason that they're successful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. It's really cool to listen to, Andy and the MFCEO at 2015, or Hormozy and his gym launch at 2018, or it's cool to go back and listen to those podcasts or listen to those YouTube videos, or scroll down and listen to the old Instagram videos, because they're highly polished now. They have got full teams, editing, things like that. But you go back and they were completely different businesses, completely different size, etc.
Yeah, shows you what's possible. So as far as your speaking goes, how do you think somebody could hone in on their public speaking skills? Tell me this. I want to know this because I'm being asked now to speak more. So this is a question. This is a selfish question. Yeah. I just want to know what you have to say for this one.
I think people forget that when you're speaking at an event, there's a couple different things that I believe make a really good talk or a really good speech from stage. One is, nobody cares how awesome you are. Like, nobody cares. So for example, when I speak on stage, it's usually at some sort of medical provider event or something like that. And all the physicians and all the doctors like to talk about their resume at the beginning and why you should listen to them. And I barely touch on the businesses that I own and why you should listen to me. And it's in the middle of my talk. There's no, this is who I am or who I've done or whatever at the beginning. And a lot of people like to do that to feel like they have to qualify why they're there on stage. You're there on stage. Obviously, you're fucking qualified because the people putting on the event invited you to be there. So you don't have to stand on stage and then justify why you're on stage. Nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
They don't. Like, and it's always when they put up the slide of the resume, you're like, okay, move on to the next thing. It doesn't help anybody. Number two, make sure you're helping people. People like to go on there and pontificate or talk about this or that or this or that. Know your audience and speak to the audience in terms of how it's going to help them. Usually help them either make more money if you're speaking on some sort of entrepreneurial stage or anything like that, or live a better life. That's it. That's all they care about. There's that, like, make more money, which technically, if you really think about it, it already fits into number two, live a better life. What can they do to live a better life? Is that tactical tricks? Is that a certain this certain type of skincare, or this for BTL, this certain machine, it's going to help in their business? How does it help them? Everybody likes to talk about, well, if you're talking about skincare, well, it's got sodium glycosylate, blah, 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 that helps the skin rejuvenate. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
They don't fucking care. They care about, is it going to tighten my skin? Is it going to make my skin glow? Is it going to moisturize my skin? That's all you have to say. Nobody cares about the science. There might be some nerds that care about it, but they could learn on their own, or they could come ask you. 90% of the crowd just wants to know how it's going to benefit them at the end. And that's the big thing from stage, is that, these are the choices that you can make, or this machine will help benefit you in this way. It's going to make you this amount of money, or change your life this way, or doing these things will improve your life because of this and in this way. And Hormozy says it, sell the vacation, not the plane ride. Nobody cares about getting to the vacation. They want the beach, the sun, the sand, the things like that. And I think that's important when you speak from stage. Number three is tell stories. Like, storytelling not only sells, but storytelling draws people in. They want to know about, they want to listen to you. I mean, there's a reason why things like the Bible or the Torah or all these old scrolls, or there's always the Native American things that people post with really cheesy wolves, like, there's two wolves inside of you, and the one you feed is the one that grows bigger and takes over. It's the same thing. It's storytelling.
Yeah.
So if you're not telling stories consistently throughout your talk, if you're not connecting those stories to your points and why it's important for them to do a use a certain machine. And it's just like, well, you should use the machine because it's a great machine. No, you got to tell a story about it. Use the skincare because it's a great skincare. No, tell a story about it. You should use this principle in your business. Why? Well, you tell a story about it. Tell stories over and over and over. A lot of times people don't tell stories from stage. They're not good storytellers. And it's not hard to be a good storyteller. You just start writing. You just start figuring out how your parents told you stories, or you read children's books. Honestly, if you read, I've got triplets, and most of the time I'm like, these books fucking suck. But there's a cadence and there's a rhythm to certain stories, especially with children's books, that will draw you in. And then you just look at that and say, okay, what did they do? It's the hero's journey, and you create a hero's journey, a beginning, middle, and end. It's a way of writing prose. It's the way all the Marvel comics, the DC comics, any comic book that you read, the Lord of the Rings, any of those stories are all written based off the hero's journey. There's a protagonist. The protagonist goes through something which either makes them good or bad. So whether you're a villain or whether you're a hero, you're the same person. You just made that decision when you went through that bad shit we talked about, when you went through that negative thing. Either they switched to negative or they switched to positive. And then they moved on, and there's some sort of difficulty that they had to overcome. And then they did this, and this to overcome it, and this is the result of that at the end. It's called the hero's journey. It's a great way to write your speeches. It's a great way to speak from stage. And just using that system over and over and over really that is what can help you deliver a really, really good message. Because otherwise people just scream. They just yell, especially in today's social media. All the male alpha bullshit. All they're doing is yelling all fucking day long, and there's no direction to it. There's no lessons in it. There's no stories in it. In the medical field, it's just science, 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 and I'm this great person and doctor, and I'm immortal. You want to be a real fucking human. And that was one thing that one of the people in the audience, or one of the attendees at the event this weekend, spoke to Vaughn, who helps me copyright and write all my speeches and stories and things like that. And Vaughn was asking him, well, what did you like about Alex as a speaker? He said, well, first off, he's a real fucking person. Because most of the people go on stage and they're acting like this immortal person that you cannot, you cannot achieve what I've achieved. You cannot do what I've done. It's impossible. And if you connect to people that are in that beginning or even middle stage and you're above them, then that's going to help you connect with the audience better than anything else. Not pretending like you're greater than everybody, or that they could never achieve what you did, or you went through insurmountable odds that they would never be able to go through. Yeah. Because they're going through all that as well. So they want to hear that there's a light at the end. And if you show them that, yeah, there's a light at the end because I went through it too. I've been there with you. I've been through those things that you're going through. You're going to connect much, much better as a public speaker. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you are definitely captivating, which is why we have the podcast, and we've got 1,000 people listening because they're coming back to hear you.
Not too captivating, slightly captivating.
Why would you encourage CEOs to get on stage and start to create that public appearance for themselves?
I honestly don't think it's necessary. I really don't. I do it because I really like to do it. I like to perform. I like to be in front of people. I like to act out and funny. And being an introvert, it's like the one thing I like to really do. I always wanted to be an actor, but I don't think I'm good enough for movies. So it's my ability to act from stage and my fun and my release. So I don't think it's absolutely necessary. But if you do want to build like a national brand, if you do want to get in front of people, then I would highly encourage it, because it will help you recruit people. It will help you bring people into your circle and into your crowd that are gonna think like you, because they're gonna listen to you and they're gonna love you, or they're not gonna agree with you. And those people that love you are gonna follow you and talk to you and want to be a part of what you're doing, and that's great. So if you want to grow a national brand, if you want to grow a massive company, you're going to have to, at some point, get on stage. And if you don't want to get on stage, then at least have a business partner or a messenger that's going to get on stage for you. Oh, Steve Wozniak had Steve Jobs. His name is Steve, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's S2. Yeah, Wozniak had Jobs. Brent has me. Andy, Chris is Andy Frisella's business partner. Chris had Andy. So one of the two business partners has to be the one who is out there talking about the brand in people's faces, growing the brand. And one may not want to, and they may not be good at it. But if you're trying to build a massive brand, one of you two has to be that person. And even if you're maybe an introvert and you're on the autistic spectrum or Asperger's or anything like that, I mean, look at guys like Elon Musk. He is forced to be out there and he's doing fine himself. If you want to be on the news or you want to talk about your brand in front of TV and stuff, those are all good things to build your brand. You're going to have to learn how to be on stage or be in front of those types of people. And it's just, that comes from repetition. Act like it's on stage in front of your own team. Then your team will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then whatever you're telling or imparting into your team, it just translates into being on stage. It's the same lessons, the same things. You're not going to go on stage and say something completely fucking different than you would to your own staff in person, because that's just not going to be you. And that's going to create incongruencies in just who you are or how you think or how you're speaking to people.
So do you have any other key tips that you would give to somebody trying to build a personal brand when it comes to either their social media or content strategies, and any other general thoughts on how or things that they should take away that we haven't already discussed, because we've talked about a lot of great stuff already. So any other thoughts?
No, in terms of specific advice or strategies or anything like that, I really don't. There's nothing special about it. At the beginning, talk to your camera, cut it, post it, do as much as you can in terms of providing value. Some people will just take a picture of themselves with a cigar and be like, it's a Thursday. I don't think that provides any value to fucking anybody. If you're going to do social media, at least try and provide value, even if it's boring value. Like we do, that's why we do everything that we do on my social media, because I want medical business owners, which is my field and what I know how to do, to come watch and be partners with me or be attracted to the brand. How many entrepreneurs out there want to learn about medical business ownership? Not a lot. Really not a lot. And so most people will think it's super boring, or they'll hate it or whatever, but it's not for them. It's for the people that are in my company. It's for the people that want to partner with my company. And that's it. So use social media in a way that's going to get you more business or get you followers or get you eyes for what you specifically need or what you specifically want to attract. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. There really isn't. Yeah. I mean, even OnlyFans girls get this. Like, they post butts and titties because they need people to go over to OnlyFans and buy OnlyFans. They make a fuckload of money doing it. They're not out there talking about, anything else.
How to raise your children.
How to raise your children, or like how to have a healthy relationship, or how to build a business. Yeah. Like, they market the best out of fucking anybody out there. Even my entrepreneurial friends. Yeah. Some of my entrepreneurial friends talking about how badass they are and stuff like that. Their captions, literally, there's no captions. It's just titties. Come find me on OnlyFans. Cool. I mean, that's literally their marketing all fucking day long. Yeah. It's the best way to market. You should do the same thing for your business, your service. So if you're a plumber, definitely pull your pants down and show your butt, because people will be like, that's plumber's crack. I know what he's doing. I'm going to buy from him.
That's funny when you said if you're a plumber. That was my first visual. The first visual I had was bent over butt crack under the sink.
Yeah, exactly.
That, you know
exactly that guy, he's probably pretty fucking good at fixing pipes. Yeah, exactly. But again, that being said, do the social media to attract what you want to attract, or the people that you want to attract, or the services that you want to attract. Don't create it for everyone. Just know that you're going to have a small niche in the giant following across the world, and that's what you do. You know, Ronaldo, Cristiano posts about his businesses and soccer. He has the most followers on Instagram on earth, but again, he's just posting his niche. He's not posting all this other random shit or things that aren't related to that. The Rock, same thing. He posts his businesses, what he's doing, his selfies in the gym, because that's his persona. They're not posting about, hey, you should do this with your skincare, although The Rock is now because he created his own skincare line.
You know he has a hair care line.
Yeah, he does.
But he has no hair.
Yeah, he used to have great hair though. If you go back, he used to have amazing hair.
Oh yeah. You know, when he was in the WWE.
Yeah, he had
Is it WWE?
Back then, it was WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be WWF and stuff like that now. I don't know. Don't fry me.
Yeah, me either.
Wrestlers.
I brought that up. So it's my fault. You can fry me. It's
totally
if you
your
want.
fight. I need to get back into it. But exactly that. Like, talk about what your brand is and stay on your brand. Don't try and go off and do other things. And I've told my social media team, they'll give me questions and stuff to answer, or things that might get views. And sometimes I'm like, that's just not on brand. I'm not gonna talk about that because I don't know. Or even if you do talk about it, for example, the taxes video I was like, I pay my taxes in October. I don't fucking know why. I'm not a CPA. Go find my CPA, or if you're a CPA, comment below why you do it.
Yeah.
Just stay on your brand. Stay in what you know. Because if you try and talk about everything, people are going to pick that shit apart. So talk about what you really know about, and you'll grow a good, strong following that wants that type of content, and they're going to keep coming back for that type of content. And that they're going to ask you to be on the stage. They're going to ask you to partner with you, etc.
One of my first business coaches
What do you want to say?
No, I was just going to say...
We didn't even invite you to this party, but you just want to fucking say something.
Here I am.
So go ahead. Here we go.
Here you are.
One huge mistake a lot of our clients make, who are business owners, when they start, is they just want to talk about personal development, because that's what they see like Andy Frisella talking about, or Alex Ramosi, or Ed Milet. It's like, yeah, are you a billionaire yet? Like, no one's going to... I'm sorry, but no one's going to listen to you. Like, what have you been successful at in your business? Maybe it's in media, or you're a successful electrician. Talk about that.
Yeah.
That's the coaching world. Like, I want to coach others. Well, you haven't fucking done anything to coach anyone else on it.
Yeah.
So shut up.
That's what one of my first business coaches taught me was, if you have a voice for everything, you have a voice for nothing. If you don't know what you're talking about, nobody will listen to you.
That's
I'm
good.
like, great. So,
That's so good.
let me just stay on point here.
And that translates to real life too. If you're not only listening to podcasts or following social media people, if people in your family or your friends or those around you, I get messages all the time like, hey, I was going to do this in business, or I was thinking about this idea, but this person said it wasn't a good idea. Or, my wife doesn't think it's a good idea. Or my girlfriend or my husband or whatever doesn't think it's a good idea. And the first question I always ask, well, has your wife or your husband or this business owner that's telling you not to do it, have they done it before? Because if they have and they failed, then yeah, they know and you should listen to them. But 99.9% of the time, they haven't done it at all. So I always tell them, then why the fuck are you listening to them?
Yeah.
That's just how it is. It's just business. And people get their feelings hurt about that. There was a gentleman who posted on a Facebook group for medical people about building insurance versus cash pay businesses. And he's like, I'm not sure which direction to go in. My wife says I should do this, blah, blah, blah. What do I think? And I said, well, has your wife built a cash pay business versus an insurance pay business? This is what I think you should do, because I've built both. Make sure that you're learning from people that actually have done it before. And it was funny because he got all butthurt, and he's like, well, my wife has built a transportation company, so she knows business. And unfortunately, it went under during COVID. And, so she's very smart, and I respect her opinion. And I was like, that's what it is. It's a fucking opinion. Like, one, she hasn't built a successful company. Because guess what? It fucking closed during COVID. If she built a successful company, it would still be fucking open.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It would fucking still be open because you'd have reserves to either get through it and everything like that. And most business owners, they don't have reserves. They don't plan for that rainy season. So one, she didn't build a fucking successful business. Mm-hmm. And number two, she has no idea what the fuck she's talking about because this world, healthcare, is completely different than trucking and transportation.
Yeah.
The concepts of business, taking care of your staff and customer service and growth and innovation are the same. But when it comes to the medical field versus transportation and trucking, totally fucking different. You cannot compare the two at all when it comes to, well, what's easier to get cash flow? What's easier to get, the sales? You cannot compare them. I'm sorry. So listen to people. It's funny because people get upset and get butthurt when you tell them the fucking reality of things. Listen to people who have been there. Listen to people who have done that. And if you're arguing with somebody who has done way more than you, or you think you could do it better, and they have gotten to where you want to go and made millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in that field, then you should shut the fuck up and just do what they tell you to do. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, there's you're listening to a bunch of idiots. You're taking a bunch of opinions from people who've never done it before and imparting what they think is the right thing to do. And it's always the fucking wrong thing to do because they've got no fucking idea. They've got no clue. I'm not going to coach somebody on how to build a supplement brand. I haven't. We just started, but I haven't done it. So I can't coach somebody on that.
Yeah.
I can't coach Stefan on how to, edit more videos or expand to being able to create more content and things like that. I have concepts based off scaling, which are fine, but specifically in his business, go find somebody who's fucking done it and then listen to them, copy them, pay them for a few hours of their time. And that's who you should listen to. Don't listen to your spouse or your mom or your dad or fucking anybody who hasn't done what you want to fucking do, because they're always going to tell you the wrong advice.
So speaking of that, let's say somebody wants to have that time with you and wants your coaching and you are the person that they need to get the advice from. How would they do that?
So you can DM me. I'm always on Instagram. I still answer my own Instagrams. I'm not that famous yet, so it's okay. You can DM me on that, Dr. Alex Spinoso, or the same is my website, Dr. Alex Spinoso, so dralexspinoso.com. There's ways you can email me on that. There's a courses page where everything that literally I have done in order to build my business and all the different steps and everything like that is posted on there for free for everybody to watch and view and utilize in their businesses. My vendors page has all of our companies that we use throughout every single company that I own and everything that they do on there so that anybody can use that. It's always open, so they can always message me. There's also a section where you can reach out to me if you need coaching or want partnerships or strategic partnerships. I haven't taken on a coaching client in a long time because everybody that has come to me, we right now have turned into either a partnership or growth with Genesis. And that's kind of where we're going more recently. But I'm always open to hearing people and helping people grow.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited about building my own personal brand after this conversation. Have already started, but doing some of the things that both of you, even Stefan over there, thank you for some of those tips and tricks on the social media side, because that's exciting. And now I want you just to do it for me. And so many great takeaways, public speaking side, the personal brand, the message. I loved it. Epic podcast. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.